Father, all my life, I have answered every call. To honor, duty, to war. But now fate has given me something I never sought. A child. A life untouched by the storm. Lend me the strength of the old fathers, so that I may fight once more, defeat one more enemy, and return home to her. Not as a warrior, but as warmth. To teach her not battle, but stillness. The kind I never knew. Please, Father, heed my words.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel finally dropped the official crisp HD version of the Thor Avengers Doomsday trailer. There's a whole bunch of Easter eggs and references, just like the other Avengers Doomsday teasers, so we'll break it all down. Thor out here reminded me that I need to get a haircut. Maybe we should ask him if he thinks that the X-Men teaser is also better than his teaser. Who has the strongest Avengers teaser now? Technically, he still is the strongest Avenger, so he can at least be happy about that. But probably one of the biggest advantages of having the crisp HD version of the trailer is that now that we can say, yes, it does look like he is wearing another new suit after Thor Love and Thunder, because you don't see any of the blue, you don't see any of the gold highlights. It looks more like his Infinity War suit, also the same one that he wore during Avengers Endgame, but without the sleeves. Most of the trailer is him praying to his father, Odin, in Valhalla. Yes, he can still communicate with him. He did it during Thor Ragnarok. Remember, he had died, and Odin was still talking to him in this dream state through dimensions, because the way that Moon Knight explains how death works inside the MCU, it's the same for the Asgardians. Everybody's consciousness just travels to another dimension based on their belief system, or if they have a contract with a higher deity. In the case of the Asgardians, because they worship the Asgardian pantheon, they go to Valhalla. Now the big question is if God Loki is sitting up tending his multiverse tree during the events of Avengers Doomsday while this is going on, while he's praying to Odin, also listening to what Thor is saying, because technically, yes, he can also hear what Thor is saying.
I have answered every call.
There are basically two versions of Loki listening potentially to what Thor is saying, because the original version of Loki is also in Valhalla after Thanos killed him. Will we actually get multiple versions of Loki during Avengers Secret Wars when we get another version of the Thor Corps? Supposedly we are going to see a version of the Thor Corps during Secret Wars like the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars version. But at the beginning of the footage, we can actually see Thor in the woods praying to Odin in Valhalla with Stormbreaker in his new version of the suit. We don't know which woods these are, though, where this cabin where he's living with Love, Gorr's daughter, the daughter of eternity. You can let me know if you think that this is meant to be on planet Earth. There are no distinct markings that actually let you know what planet this is on if he's come back to New Asgard, because I don't think there are any woods near New Asgard. So they might be on some other planet, or they could just be on some other part of planet Earth. The last we actually saw them, they were traveling around the universe just helping different races, so presumably they just found a place to actually call home and they go there between their adventures. But it has been a couple years since the end of Thor Love and Thunder, so like they've been at it, doing what you saw them doing at the end of Thor Love and Thunder for a couple years now. He kneels down, holding Stormbreaker, praying to Odin, saying, "Father, all my life I have answered every call to honor, to duty, to war," because, as we saw in the first Thor movie, he was about 1,500 years old when that first Thor movie picks up. He spent his entire life basically just going around having adventures around the Nine Realms, having battles. Then he goes on to say, "But now fate has given me something I never sought, a child." There are a couple references here. So fate, we talk about the Greek fates, the whole idea of the strands of fate. This is also a sly wink at Loki's multiverse tree, which seem like strands on a multiverse tree, Yggdrasil, the world tree, but the multiverse version of the world tree, a more accurate depiction of the way it exists inside the MCU and the Marvel Comics. But also the idea is that Loki now controls the strands of fate. He tends the multiverse tree. There are a lot of questions that this also raises too because of the events of Avengers Doomsday, and we know that Doctor Doom, because he's wearing so much plot armor, has to be successful at the end of the movie, and incursions have to collapse the multiverse down into a version of Battleworld, meaning that the multiverse tree has to collapse. Loki had one job. You had one job. Why didn't you protect that multiverse? When he says fate delivered him a child, what he's talking about is that he essentially adopted love at the end of Thor Love and Thunder. So on the other side of this, I'm assuming because Jane Foster died and he assumed that she would not come back, that is why Thor did not want a child, or he wasn't seeking out a child at this point in his life. Now, Asgardians live up to 5,000 years, potentially even longer because of the way the Odin sleep works. But because this entire prayer is all about love, if it wasn't clear, because she was reborn through eternity, like eternity basically brought her back with all these cosmic powers, not really clear exactly how powerful she is, because she's kind of like the child of eternity, so technically she should have most of the powers of eternity, which makes her one of the most powerful characters inside the MCU.
Go to hell, demon!
That was actually a running meme during Marvel Phase 4 because they kept introducing brand new, super powerful characters like, who is the new, most powerful character that we met this week? My assumption there is that if they get into this during any of the movies, like if Avengers Doomsday spends any time on this, they'll oversimplify it so that it's a little bit like the way they explain Franklin Richards' power cosmic, which I think will be a much bigger deal during the actual course of Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, just because the way they use that in the comics they are adapting for this. But it does kind of seem like they're focusing on all the different Avengers characters and movie characters' children during this. Now, we did see the X-Men teaser, which got leaked recently. I just did a video for that, and we don't see any references to any children during that, but we might actually see Cyclops or one of the other characters have a young little child character that Doctor Doom tries to steal in that as well, too. If we start seeing little kids pop up with all the other different teasers, then you know something's up. Thor goes on to say, a life untouched by the storm, making as many storm puns as possible because he is the god of thunder. In context, he's mostly just talking about war in general because he's just been through Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, the big war with Thanos to save the universe. Now he kind of has to save the universe again, another storm again. Now the storm is so big, it's threatening to destroy the entire multiverse. Then we move to a scene of love trying to fall asleep in the bedroom, in the cabin, wherever they are actually living. And yes, this is India Hemsworth, Chris Hemsworth's real-life daughter. They just put her in the movie Thor Love and Thunder. Taika Waititi's children is in the movie. A lot of people's children that worked on the movie are actually in it because they needed so many children for Gore's subplot during the film. Whole lot of kids got their SAG card on this movie. And because it's been a couple years since they shot that movie, this is why she looks so much older, because kids grow so fast. This is also very evident during Stranger Things, like we're in the middle of the Stranger Things finale, which will be one of my next videos too. You look at season 1 and see how much they grew by the time of season 5, basically going from tiny little baby kids to full-grown adults by the events of season 5. It is like night and day. One of the other details too is that Love still has the tattoos across her face from Thor Love and Thunder. My assumption is that she just redraws them on her face, but her face could also just look like that all the time, like just part of her biology. You could also let me know what you think her stuffed animal is here. Is this a bear? Is this an otter? Is this a version of Rocket? Like, does she have Rocket as a stuffed animal here? Has she met Rocket? Because the Guardians of the Galaxy, Rocket's team, is still very active around the galaxy and the universe right now. Maybe we will see them referenced during Avengers Doomsday, or at least by Secret Wars at some point. It would be way too weird if those characters sit out both of the next Avengers movies. Kinda seems like Marvel's still trying to decide what they want to do with them, though, after James Gunn left to go be the Kevin Feige of DC. But they will bring the characters back at some point. Based on the footage, it also seems like she's having trouble falling asleep too. Maybe she's having a nightmare. Maybe it has something to do with her powers and the way that Eternity's powers work. Eternity is the living embodiment of the entire universe. So that's why when you're looking at it in Thor Love and Thunder, you're essentially looking at the entire universe. Galactus briefly touched on this during the Fantastic Four movie in Franklin Richards' Power Cosmic, where they made it seem like Franklin Richards, even though he was a tiny baby, had some level of awareness that was like way beyond a normal child because of the way the Power Cosmic worked. Thor goes on to say, lend me the strength of the All-Fathers, which also include Odin's father, Bor, which we saw briefly during Thor the Dark World, and you actually see all the previous All-Fathers, basically the lineage of all the Asgardian kings in the first Thor movie when he's traveling through all the statues. So part of the idea is that Thor technically should become the new king of Asgard, of New Asgard, so he should be the new All-Father. He goes on to say, so that I may fight once more, defeat one more enemy, he's talking about Doctor Doom here, and return home to her, to love, not as a warrior, but as a warmth, to teach her not battle, but stillness, the kind I never knew, which is also him kind of clowning on himself as a child, because he spent all those years, like the first 1,500 years of his life, and a lot of time during the MCU, getting in big battles. Please, Father, heed my words. Now, because of this prayer, don't you also wonder if we are going to see an Odin cameo during the events of Avengers Doomsday at some point? Yes, there will be a billion cameos and Easter eggs, but it feels like Secret Wars is a place to put more of the actual cameos than Avengers Doomsday, just because so much they have to accomplish, and Avengers Doomsday is supposed to have a shorter run time than Avengers Secret Wars, kind of like Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, where Avengers Endgame wound up being much longer than Infinity War. Mostly it's just a question of who meets which characters at which point in the movie, like at what point do they all start working together at the same time, and do they ever all wind up on screen at the same time, or if they just deal with them in pockets of groups the way they did during Avengers Infinity War, where they mostly divided up all the Avengers, like all the hero characters, into different teams in different places. Kind of expecting it to follow the same Infinity War and Endgame trope, where like they do wind up all together on screen, like everybody together now from the entire multiverse, like all the X-Men characters, all the Spider-Man characters, all the Avengers characters on screen at the same time. Just save it for the big final battle in Avengers Secret Wars. Also calling out the Doctor Doom-sized teaser in the trailer, there is a countdown at the end of the trailer like there are at the previous ones, where you also see what looks like Doctor Doom's throne. This actually looks like it's a depiction of his throne with the countdown timer to the actual premiere of Doomsday, and because this is another week after the last teaser release, the countdown starts at a lower point, like it's counting down to 0 to actual Doomsday. This also makes it seem like if we get more teasers throughout next year, like we're expecting to, we will just eventually see a teaser a couple days before Doomsday actually comes out, where it literally counts down and the counter hits 0. When it actually comes to Loki's character, don't know if he's going to show up in any of the further trailers. Hopefully they put him in at least one of the trailers, but Tom Hiddleston did say that he was really happy with the story for Avengers Doomsday in the script that he actually worked with, even though there's a lot of talk about them never having a finished script.
The grand finale.
The grand finale of Loki.
In the context of the characters right now, Loki is just sitting in his multiverse tree in the chair, the throne in a higher dimension, tending the multiverse. The way he explained it at the end of that, the reason why he wasn't talking to all the different characters all the time, changing everything all the time, is because of that final conversation he had with Mobius about having a very hands-off kind of approach, like basically just allowing free will to exist throughout the multiverse. This is also why I think that he's allowing some of the incursions that happened during Marvel Phase 4 and Marvel Phase 5 to happen without actually stopping them. What they'll probably say, because we know that Doctor Doom has to win at the end of Avengers Doomsday, is that Loki will not be able to stop him because of a combination of his technology and magic together. Like, Doctor Doom will be using very powerful magic, and maybe the power cosmic as well too, like Franklin Richards' power cosmic. Maybe if they are doing the children plot with like everybody's kids being super powerful and Doctor Doom trying to yoink them all, call Chris Hansen first, then send the Avengers after him. Love does have very powerful cosmic powers from eternity, and if we're talking about X-Men characters, because we just saw the X-Men teaser and Cyclops seems really broken up, and it seems like Doctor Doom just wastes the X-Mansion, they could also say that he's had a child with Jean Grey on his planet, and that child is the inheritor of the Phoenix Force. That would be a reason for Doctor Doom to want Cyclops' child. Marvel could also say that on their X-Men world, Cyclops and his Jean Grey before she potentially died had Nathan Summers, and he could be the inheritor of the Phoenix Force in that universe. This is also part of a long-running Mr. Sinister plot in the comics that they adapted a run for during X-Men 97 Season 1. The whole reason why Mr. Sinister was obsessed with the bloodline of Cyclops and Jean Grey was because of Nathan Summers, and he could potentially be a mutant powerful enough to wield the Phoenix Force, and Mr. Sinister wanted someone powerful enough who could do that. Doctor Doom would also probably want the Phoenix Force. There's a lot of other stuff we could talk about with Thor's character, like I do think that he's going to be one of the characters to survive to Secret Wars because they're supposed to do a version of the Thor core from the comics. We will see if Marvel goes ahead and does a version of Thor 5-2 after Secret Wars, and that winds up being Chris Hemsworth's final film. One of the good things about the character, though, is that they can just keep bringing him back and he can turn into a version of the All-Father, like the older character age into it gradually, like Anthony Hopkins was a much older character inside the MCU just because of the way that Odin worked inside the MCU. Probably one of the beauties of casting younger characters is that some of them, in context, because of the way the stories work with them later in their lives, they can just age into those roles later in life. So if they don't want to be in Marvel movies for like 20 years, that's totally fine. They can just bring them back in like 20, 30 years and be an older version of their character for stories. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below, and if you spotted any Easter eggs or references that I didn't talk about during the video, just write them in the comments below. What'll probably happen is that next week, Marvel will release a crisp HD version of that X-Men trailer. Hopefully we'll get some more Easter eggs from that, so look out for that. I'll do a video as soon as they do. And we're going to get the Stranger Things finale tomorrow, so my video for that will post tomorrow in addition to the new Fallout episode. Be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that. Everybody click here for that brand new X-Men Avengers Doomsday trailer. It is the best trailer so far. And click here for all my other Avengers Doomsday videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.